I'm a big podcast listener, as I have about a 45-minute commute to work each way every day, and I enjoy listening to gaming podcasts, so I thought I'd list my favourite ones, and if you've got any suggestions, please put them in the comment section down below. The thing is about gaming podcasts is that when it comes to news, they all talk about the same sort of rumours and releases, and of course anything to do with gaming is highly subjective, so just because they might not like something doesn't mean that podcast isn't for you. So for me, the better gaming podcasts are all about the personalities of the people doing them and the stories they bring to the table, not really the news content, as so much of that is so similar. So my recommended gaming podcasts in no particular order are the Giant Beastcast, the East Coast wing of Giant Bomb with Vinny, Alex and Jeff. You are guaranteed laughs as they always go off the rails and down some deep rabbit holes right from the get-go. But they're down to earth, don't take themselves too seriously, and don't sound as burnt out as their West Coast brethren. My next one is Cheap Ass Gamers. Oh yes, this is probably my favourite gaming podcast, with Cheapy D, Wombat and Shipwreck. These guys are up in the high 400s in terms of episodes, but I never tire of poor old Cheapy D's letterbox woes, Wombat's quest for cheap goodies and Shipwreck's retro console collection. Next, Split Screen by Kotaku. These guys are the serious, in quotes, journalists of the gaming world, managing to piss off Ubisoft and Konami to name a few, so they must be on the right track. Kirk and Jason may be a little bit too JRPG orientated, but their insights and information on the industry and games are second to none. Next, The Gamer's Confessional. How could I leave out Clarky, Vimesy and Pet in this sometimes hilarious British podcast with a grumpy northerner, a posh southerner and a Greek from London who, when he's allowed to do what he wants to, the results are brilliant. Gamers with Jobs. Okay, so this one's a bit confusing because they've got two hosts called Sean and they've got a Julian, but despite their forays into real-world physical board games, these guys and the occasional girl have divergent views on the games they play and enjoy, which always delivers a healthy debate where someone will have a viewpoint that probably you can sympathise with. Rebel FM. Hosted by Arthur, Matt and James, professionals in the gaming journalism industry, this has a harder edge when it comes to their opinions compared to some of the other podcasts. But I like this because they cut to the chase and say what they mean, especially Arthur, who isn't afraid to shine a light on issues he thinks stinks. And finally, the Giant Bombcast. I know at the beginning I said the guys at Giant Bombcast can sound a little burnt out, but I guess if, like Jeff Gersman, you've been around since the beginning of the gaming industry and probably the beginning of time, you'd come across a little jaded too. The best episodes are when Brad and the rest of the gang get into their stride and share their enthusiasm for our hobby. And if you're after a long podcast, you've come to the right place, with each episode of Giant Bomb pushing well over an hour and a half. Okay, so that's my list. If you fancy downloading and subscribing to any of them, just search their names in iTunes, your podcatcher, Pocket Cast, or whatever your favourite podcast app or program is. I'll put the links in the comments down below, or I'll put the names in the comments down below because I can't really link to within different apps. That's enough from me. Please put your suggestions down below, hit like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you'd like to see more of the same. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.